If you want to buy your first self-storage facility and you're tired of feeling like you're spinning your wheels trying to find these opportunities, then I have good news for you, because in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can find off-market storage opportunities, which isn't about being lucky. It's about using the right playbook. So today I'm going to pull back the curtains. I'm going to show you exactly 4 lead generation strategies that myself and coaching clients are using right now to connect with storage owners and close profitable storage deals, even in this market. So if you stick with me throughout the end of this video, you're going to leave with a simple, proven plan that you can execute immediately without chasing bad deals. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and launch right into a special talk that I prepared just for you here. And it's really, I'm going to reveal the marketing playbook, exactly what we do to find these opportunities. And this playbook is designed, again, to help you find these opportunities, connect with these storage owners, and ultimately close on these deals. And it's the same methods that I used to use in my single family business. We have now since tweaked them, made them a little bit more unique, and now using them to connect with these mom and pop storage operators. Now, before I dive into this, I want to share with you something that's super, super important. Generally speaking, a lot of marketing, most marketing works. The question is, are you going to work the plan? Are you going to work these campaigns and be consistent? So understand that these 4 strategies, it's not a magic wand. Yes, there are some things that make it effective, and I'm going to walk you through that in this video. But I want you to understand that at the end of this, the call to action is going to be to pick one of these strategies, be consistent, commit to be consistent with this. And I believe that you'll end up seeing results. At least that's been my experience and some of the coaching clients that I'm working with. So this is a strategy and campaigns that you can use to build a pipeline of potential deals, establishing yourself as a serious buyer in the self-storage space. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the first strategy. Now, you're going to see a mix of these are going to be free strategies, and then there's going to be 1 or 2 that are paid. However, here's the key. It's not going to take you a lot of money. I remember in my single family business, I would send out 30 to 40,000 postcards a month and had a marketing budget of anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000. Well, that is a far cry from what we spend on marketing today to find these opportunities. So if you're watching this and you don't have a big budget, or even if you don't have a budget at all, then some of these strategies are going to work for you. If you have just a little bit of money, then you can definitely deploy all 4 of these strategies I'm going to share with you. So the first one is cold calling. Oftentimes people come to me wanting to buy their first storage facility, but they don't have any money at all. And so this is a fantastic strategy if you have a little bit of time that you're willing to devote on a daily basis consistently. And it all starts with building your list. Within our Storage Wins coaching community, this is something we call our top 100 and beyond. And this is something that we have a virtual assistant do. We have trained virtual assistants on how to go into a particular market, look for mom and pop storage operators based on some key indicators. I created a video that you can find in the description, which will share with you the exact criteria we look for to build this list. But we want to find these mom and pop operators on Google Maps. So if you go to maps.google.com, there's a few other places where you can buy a list of storage owners and these facilities. You can go to Reonomy, Tract IQ, PropStream, Data Axle is another place where you can go and buy the list. But let me be honest with you, I prefer to build this list organically and curate it from the ground up, leveraging a virtual assistant. So you want to focus on storage facilities that are 10,000 square feet all the way up to 75,000 net rentable square feet. And if you're on Google Maps, you can start to look for facilities that either don't have a website, or maybe they do, but the website looks like it was built 20 years ago. If you go to the contact us section, you'll see like at gmail.com, at yahoo.com, at AOL, believe it or not. These are all indications that is a mom and pop operator. I like to look for facilities that have little to no Google reviews, because Google reviews are very important in this business. I like to look for facilities that have anything under 4.0 stars. That probably means that from a customer service perspective, they're not doing the best job they can. Now, I want to be crystal clear. Just because you find some of these variables and indicators, it doesn't necessarily mean that that mom and pop facility owner is motivated per se. It just means that they're not dialed in. They're not taking advantage of simple levers that can help increase the occupancy in the facility, help them generate more revenue, and ultimately more net operating income, which is what determines the value of these facilities. So you want to build a list leveraging a virtual assistant, and then you want to go ahead and just pick up the phone. And this can be you, this can be a virtual assistant. We have people within our Storage Wins community that have hired virtual assistants to act as their cold callers. And the job of that virtual assistant isn't to get the deal. It's not to get a contract from the owner. It's just to identify the storage owners that are willing to sell their property. And then they just line up a call. They schedule a call for my coaching client. So you can do this yourself if you don't have money right now to hire a virtual assistant or an acquisitions person. And guys, here's the super ninja script when you call these storage owners. Hey, my name is insert your name. I know this is a bit out of the blue, a little random, but I was wondering if you've ever thought about selling your storage facility in insert city name. Or, hey, I realize this call is random and we haven't met, but I'm looking at your facility on Google, and I was just curious, have you ever considered an offer? Would you consider an offer for your facility? You know, you can name the facility if you want. So it's you're not trying to pitch, you're just trying to have a conversation and connect with that person. And I promise you, like, we have people within our community that the KPIs, the key performance indicators that they are tracking from their virtual assistant and their cold callers is 100 dials a day. If you or somebody on your team can make 100 dials a day, that can lead anywhere from 3 to 7 meaningful conversations. And meaningful conversations is that's part of the LMAO method that I talk about, right? Building your list, which is what I just alluded to. M is the meaningful conversations. You want to commit to have 3 to 5 meaningful conversations with storage owners every single day. The A is analyzing deals. You want to analyze 1 deal a day so that you can quickly identify what's a deal and what's not a deal. And then the O is making offers. LMAO, the LMAO method. If you do that consistently, you're going to put yourself in a great position to buy a storage facility. Now, with that being said, having 3 to 5 meaningful conversations is super important. And it's also equally important to track this data, right? The only reason we know that 100 dials can lead oftentimes to 3 to 7 meaningful conversations is because we track this in our CRM. And I don't want to overcomplicate this. Whatever CRM you're comfortable with is the best CRM for you. So we don't have to get fancy with a go high level CRM. It can be a simple Google spreadsheet. It can be Podio. And again, I'm not going to get into what CRM is better. At the end of the day, our CRM is a customer relationship management system. It tracks this information. And that's the key word. That's the operative word here. I want you to track this information so that you can establish your key performance indicators, your metrics. And then now you know that when you do X, Y happens, historically speaking. And then at the end of the day, I don't care if we're talking about storage, single family, or any asset class, and really any business, you have to follow up consistently. Contact these prospects every 30 to 45 days. Find out how they like to communicate. I know there's some storage owners that like to text. There's others that are old school and they want to pick up the phone and have a conversation. So I like to alternate between phone calls, direct mail, text messages, provided that they've given you the permission to send them a text message, because the follow-up is in the fortune. So in your CRM, you can set a follow-up date to contact that person 30, 45 days. And here's a tip. Sometimes when I follow up and I've spoken to that person and I know that they're not quite ready to sell, even though I know they're thinking about it, sometimes I'll follow up and I don't even ask them about the storage facility. We will take detailed notes and we'll listen to things that they say and sometimes even read between the lines. Like, I remember several months ago, I had a conversation with a storage owner that mentioned to me just in passing that they just got back from a vacation in the Bahamas. Guess what I did? I ended up writing that down in our CRM. I typed it out. And then the next time I spoke to that owner, I brought up that vacation, because you want to seek to find points of connection with people, right? That shows them that you're actively listening. That shows them that they're being heard, that you're very detailed. Like, there's a lot going on under the surface that is communicated when you bring up things like that. That's just a little detail that can separate you from anybody else that they have a conversation with. So build your list, smile and dial, track in your CRM or in your pipeline, and then follow up consistently. Now, I touched on a little bit in terms of scaling with virtual assistants, and I find that many people, let's be honest, many people don't enjoy cold calling, right? The fact of, I actually kind of take it as a game. I take it as a challenge. How many no's can I get before I get to somebody who's interested in selling? And I think that's why I've been successful with it and why I've purchased storage facilities, just jumping on Google Maps, smiling and dialing. Doesn't cost me anything but my time, which is valuable, but the payoff in storage can be worth it. So if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, assistant. In fact, today I had an onboarding call, a coaching call with one of our new members who has a very, very successful 7-figure wholesaling operation. And I shared with him, I said, brother, where you're at right now, your time is precious. Like, you need to leverage one of the virtual assistants on your team, plug into our processes, our system, our training, have your virtual assistant build your top 100 list and beyond, have them call, and your time is best spent on having meaningful conversations, analyzing deals, and making offers, right? And that's exactly what he's going to do. So when you hire a virtual assistant, you want to make sure that you're providing them with a checklist. There's a great book called The Checklist Manifesto, which in fact, I was on a community call a little while ago and we talked about that. But these days you can leverage ChatGPT, leverage AI to build a clear, easy to follow standard operating procedure. You can provide them with a script, a very basic script, because you might feel like, oh, the virtual assistant can't really handle a call like I can. And you may or may not be right, but remember, you're not asking them to do a lot of heavy lift. You're just asking them to identify the storage owners that are open to receiving an offer for their facility. And then you want to make sure that these calls are recorded. Now, check with your local state laws. You can use tools like CallRail. Make sure if you're going to record, you're dotting your I's, you're crossing your T's, and you're following whatever rules, laws, and guidelines there are. So I'm not telling you to go do that. I'm just saying if you are able to record these calls, then once a week, you want to carve out some time to listen to these calls, take some notes, and then have a coaching call with your virtual assistant or cold caller and coach them through the process. What could they have asked? What could they have done different? How could they have improved? Ask them to rate themselves. You can rate them in the process. And then you can just continue to coach them up as they get better and better and better. So coach based on performance metrics. Don't ever criticize, right? I like the sandwich approach. Hey, here's what you did really well. What do you think could be improved? Then you share your feedback. And then, hey, here's something else I think you did really, really well. So you want to provide clear systems. You want to train and monitor them weekly. You want to set clear targets. I talked about an average of 100 dials a day can lead to 3 to 5, 3 to 7 meaningful conversations. And it just takes one conversation to convert into an opportunity that can change your life, that can have a significant impact on your financial situation, right? So imagine if you were having 3 to 5, 3 to 7 meaningful conversations every single day and 5 to 10 hot/warm prospects per week. And then you analyze these opportunities and you're making multiple offers on a weekly basis. We cannot control. I always share this with coaching clients. We cannot control if we go buy a storage facility, but we can control the micro actions that lead to the macro results. In other words, set the goal, have clarity around that, but then focus on the things that you can control. Control the controllables. You can control making X amount of calls or making sure that a virtual assistant makes X amount of calls. You can control analyzing a deal a day. You can control making at least one offer a week and so on. Do that consistently. And again, consistently is the word that I want to highlight here. And you're going to put yourself in a great position to buy your first or even your next storage facility. And then similar to the last slide, you want to make sure that you're managing your pipeline, right? You can use a lead manager, CRM, just track the KPIs, the key performance indicators. This is where a lot of people drop the ball. They're just kind of like running and gunning, doing their thing, but they're not really tracking this information. I think the key is keep it simple. You don't need complicated bells and whistles and all these automations. If literally a post-it note is what is going to keep you accountable to tracking these metrics, use a post-it note. Not the most efficient thing in the world, but whatever's going to work for you is what I'm going to tell you is the best system. Now, we're moving on to one of my favorites, direct mail. I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real estate transactions as a result of direct mail. It is one of my favorite. Direct mail has been responsible for 3 self-storage facilities that I have purchased, and it's something that we continue to do to this day. So when it comes to direct mail, I will put a link in the description that breaks down a storage wholesale deal that generated $150,000 in net profit as a result of the direct mail letter that I've used numerous times. And I break down that letter in detail and what makes it effective. Feel free to, after this, watch that video and then swipe and deploy that letter. But the same list that you and or your virtual assistant has built is the same list you're going to use to send direct mail to. The easy button, if you want to purchase a list, is Data Axle USA. You can call them and you can give them your specific criteria. If there's certain states that you're targeting, certain size facilities. You definitely want to make sure that they exclude the REITs, the real estate investment trust, like Public Storage, Extra Space, CubeSmart, U-Haul, and Life Storage. Those are the 5 facilities you want to exclude, and just give them your criteria. You can buy the list. Now, in full transparency, I haven't had the best luck with buying from them. Having said that, I do know some people that have bought a facility from purchasing a list from Data Axle. There's other providers out there, like Yardi Matrix is one, but it's very, very expensive. Very expensive. Like you're talking over 20 grand. I haven't done that, so I can't recommend it. But I do know people that have had some success buying list from a company like that. And then I think it's super important that when you write these letters, you want to write them as if you're speaking to a friend or family member. Make them very personal, right? You don't want to speak like you're some big corporation or big company and branding and all this. I like to keep it as person to person, just like very down to earth is the tone and vibe. I've gotten so much feedback from my direct mail letter campaigns because I like to keep them personal. A test that you can do is to give your letter to somebody older in your family, right? Maybe someone in their 60s or 70s, and ask them to read it and say, hey, how does this letter come across? Does it speak to you? If you owned a storage facility, then you were maybe thinking about selling and you read this, what's your gut reaction? How would it hit you? Use that as a filter and as a test. And the key with direct mail is you want to hit them multiple times. I like to send out every 45 to 60 days. I know some people that, widen that gap a little bit more, maybe 90 days, 120 days. Find your flow and rhythm. As with all things marketing, I think it's super important that you split test, but I would say every 60 days is really good. And then make sure that each letter you send builds on the previous one. This may sound super obvious, but you would be surprised how many direct mail campaigns I've seen that they forget to include a call to action. In other words, what do you want them to do? You want them to pick up the phone and call you. Make sure that phone number is accurate. I've seen direct mail campaigns go out and a digit is missing or it's the wrong phone number. And then guess what? You will never get the opportunity to talk to that person that calls you because the letter had the wrong contact information. There's some different schools of thought, but I do like to include my phone number and an email address. And I like that email to be a personal email, not like an @yourcompanyname.com type of thing. Unless there's a specific reason you want to do that and you're looking to brand that business and you want to come across as more reputable. You've bought self-storage facilities before. If you have, I would mention that you have bought facilities before, because from a credibility perspective, I think that puts you in a different ballpark. But the point is, you want these to be sequenced and you want them to be sent out every 45, 60 days, 90 days at the very latest. We talked about using a personalized approach. I always make sure that the outside of the envelope is handwritten. Use a live stamp, super important. If you want a ninja tip with direct mail, is use a live stamp and then add like 3 or 4 penny stamps, right? So then you see like 4 or 5 stamps. Why? Because that's very different. That's unique. That jumps out from the junk mail pile that these people probably receive on a daily basis. So it'll add 3, 4, 5 cents to the cost, but it's totally worth it because at the end of the day, if they don't open your letter, it doesn't really matter, right? So consistency, direct mail, it's a long game strategy, and consistency over time is what's going to build familiarity and trust with these storage owners. Moving on to the third campaign is SMS and texting. Now, here is my disclaimer. I am not an attorney, right? Check with your local TCPA laws. You want to make sure you're compliant. I am not advising that you go, buy some platform that sends out mass text messages and go get yourself in trouble. I know people that have gotten sued and have had some issues by just texting people that they didn't have the right to text. So you want to make sure that you are compliant in this area. Okay. I'll leave it there. There's my disclaimer. There are platforms like Launch Control, Batch Leads, where you can manage SMS campaigns. These tools help you send out more text messages and automate the process. Similar to cold call, keep the language and tone conversational. So these text messages, hi, any interest in selling your storage facility in this? I'm not an agent or a broker. My wife and I, or if you're not married, I'm looking to buy a storage facility in this area, right? There's no secret sauce in that. You're just, again, how would you send the text message to a friend or family member? That's how you want the tone to come across. Very you don't want it to be aggressive. You don't want it to be threatening in any way. You just, hey, listen, by the way, I wouldn't include your personal information when you send this text message, especially if you're going to use a system like that. So you want to keep it a little bit more general, but but also direct at the same time by asking them if they would consider selling or if they would consider an offer. In terms of compliance, because that's the theme of this particular strategy, avoid using words like urgent, cash, free, quick, right? Keep the messages short, rotate the messages that you send. Don't always send the same text message. Rotate the numbers that these text messages are coming out from, and then carefully monitor the opt-outs. If somebody opts out, do not text them again. Please, I want you to remain compliant here. Super important. There's too many ways to do this the right way for you to be going and doing strategies that are going to get you in trouble. Okay. So consult with a TCPA attorney. There's my disclaimer once again. And then, as you can see, with every single marketing campaign, follow up. You know, at the end, hey, okay, is it all right if I send you an offer range for your storage facility? I'm going to be creating a new video on just two key pieces of information that you need, and you can make an offer on a storage facility within minutes. Okay. At the end of the day, you just want to keep the conversation moving forward. And then last, but certainly not least, is building broker relationships. Yes, you can get deals on listed on market properties. I have bought one facility that way, and that broker relationship led to a second deal. So you can go to platforms like LoopNet, Crexy, List, selfstorage.com, Marcus and Millichap, and there's other big brokerages out there that specialize in storage and selling self-storage facilities. You will likely have to look through a lot of deals before you can find one, but there are deals out there, right? I mean, I've bought one. I know several others who have bought. Think about this as a long tail game. Building relationships with people is not something that happens overnight. It takes time to build these relationships. So invest in them now so that they can pay off later, right? And always seek to contribute and give before you ever ask for something in return. When you connect with brokers, is be professional, be yourself, right? You don't have to like put on a front. Let them know exactly what you're looking for, right? If you have a buy box or a storage avatar that you've created, let them know exactly what you're looking for, but also leave some wiggle room that if something fits outside the buy box and you're open to that, then, you know, leave it open. You don't want to box yourself in so much either. And then, as with anything else, this nurturing relationships is kind of similar to the follow-ups, is you want to make sure that you're staying top of mind. Dan Kennedy, marketing guru, educator, thought leader, especially in the marketing space, always says that you want to make sure that you're top of mind and you want to enter the conversation that your prospect or that the person that you want to connect with and do business with is thinking about at the time. You want to enter their mind. And the way that you do this is by consistently staying in front of them. And then here's the key. When the opportunity arises, when they send you a deal to look at, get back to them as quickly as possible. Ideally that same day or within 24 hours. Why? I have personally worked with a few different storage brokers who have sold my facilities, one in particular that I'm thinking about, and others that I have relationships with that I've had these types of conversations with. We've had a few come on to our Storage Wins community calls to share kind of the insider secrets of things that first-time buyers, storage owners need to be aware of. And you would be shocked at how many people they send a facility to and they don't even hear back. It's crickets. You want to avoid that. Do not be that person just by getting back to them and then shoot them straight. Hey, listen, thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Had an opportunity to dive into it, and I want to kind of share with you some feedback. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay. Here's what I like about it. Here's what I'm not so sure about. Here's why this works or doesn't work. Give them feedback. They'll appreciate that. And then as we start to kind of wind down here, this is kind of a bonus for you, leveraging wholesalers and networks. Right? So join REI Facebook groups, especially the storage groups. Similar, stay top of mind. You can post messages, let people know what you're looking for, let people know you're a serious buyer, figure out who the active wholesalers are and seek to build a relationship with them. Depending on where you live, there's probably not going to be a ton of storage meetups. That could be an opportunity for you to start one if you're so willing, but join groups like BNI, right? Where you can network with people, let them know you're a storage buyer. There's probably not going to be another storage buyer operator in your town. So look at BNI, look at different in-person local meetups where you can connect and be known as the storage guy or gal. Training your network, letting them know that you are. I can't tell you how many times I have planted seeds with people. When people on social media, people in my network and ecosystem, when they think about self-storage, many times, if not most of the times, they think of me. And as a result, it's because I talk about it and then they share opportunities with me. Let them know that, hey, if you tell me about a storage facility facility I end up buying, you will be handsomely compensated. I'm not talking about a $500 or $1,000 referral fee. It could be 5, 10 grand, maybe even more if it makes sense. Be open to that. We talked about in-person connections and then creating referrals, right? So when you connect with a storage owner and let's say they're not interested in selling, ask them, hey, listen, obviously you're probably very well connected. You probably know other storage owners. Do you know anybody else? Can you think of anybody else who owns a facility that might consider selling, right? You're talking to that person, so ask them. One of the things I learned from a mentor years ago is that when you connect with people, they're either a buyer of real estate, a seller of real estate, a lender, a potential lender, or they know one of the above, right? So apply that. You're already talking to them. Seek to build a relationship. And if they're not the right fit, always ask if you can stay in contact with them. Ask them if they know somebody else and give them a reason why to give you that information. It could be like the bird dog fees or the marketing fees or the joint venture type fees that we just talked about. And then as we start to wind down here, I've shared with you several strategies. All I want you to do is focus on one. Pick one strategy, go deep on this for the next 30, 60, 90 days, right? Master it, iterate, figure out what works, what doesn't work, be flexible, give yourself some grace, continue to tweak and improve, tweak and improve, tweak and improve. You do this consistently, and I believe you're putting yourself in a great position to find the right opportunity. So whether it's cold calling, direct mail, SMS, building relationships with brokers, wholesalers, people in your network and ecosystem, pick one of those and let's dive deep for the next 30, 60, 90 days, okay? And then lastly, again, follow-up is a theme here, tracking your KPIs, and then just continue to be consistent. Consistency is key. So listen, I'd like to take a quick opportunity that if you are interested in generating cash flow, building long-term wealth, you're intrigued by self-storage as a business opportunity because storage is a business with the benefits of real estate, I want to invite you to schedule a call to see if coaching could be a fit for you. That is exactly what we do within our Storage Wins coaching community. It's all designed at helping you buy your first storage facility within the next 6 to 12 months. Head over to storagewins.com/apply. And if I like what you have to say, we'll schedule a quick no pressure call and just discuss the opportunity and see if it's a fit. So if you like this video, I definitely want to encourage you to check out this one right here.